Okay, I want to take it back a little bit too. So we've talked at the top of our discussion, we've talked a lot about innovation and what that looks like. And while we're kind of still staying on this downstream processing, um, let's talk about actual technologies that are being used. So how do advanced analytics, automation, digital twins, we hear a lot about that, certainly on Cell and Gene, fit into early process development? And I'd love to hear your perspectives on that topic. Todd, can we start with you? How are you balancing innovation with practicality?
Absolutely. That's a tough one. And going back to earlier comments, I think some of these elements, if you set the groundwork and the facilities and process development and manufacturing up, it's amenable to receiving these technologies. Ideally, they come early, in regards to process analytical technologies. I think these are evolving in the space, around cell imaging, not just enumeration and viability, but trying to get at other dimensions of quality. As those unfold, make your process amenable to some of those technologies. The ultimate goal also in the allogeneic space is fully closed, aseptic, and fully automated processing. It has the potential to create a more confidence around sterility, more robustness. But that's a trade-off between early and late. I think where companies can make a decision if they can invest, especially startups at FIH or even, during phase one. So.
Sure, thank you. Ray, I want to give you an opportunity to.
So I think I'd like to echo what Todd said. A lot of it is setting the stage for automation because you don't necessarily know, investing in full automation is very difficult for a small company, as well as you don't necessarily know what the product is that you need at the terminal, right? When you're in phase one, you're still in dose finding studies. You're still understanding what the attributes are, especially from an autologous perspective, that, different patients can lead to different different qualities of starting material, and they might have their own nuances between them. So there could be, indication to indication specific innovations that need to be made in the process. So a lot of it is, I think it's setting the stage. And for advanced analytics, again, if given the opportunity, always do advanced analytics because you make understanding much simpler when you are able to gather that data. But at the very least, what companies should be looking forward to doing is making sure that if you cannot do those analytics now, that there are samples and capabilities of doing them in the future, so that you set up a plan, sampling plan for each one of your batches that has, samples from various points that you can then bank, so that when you're ready to do it, you can do advanced things like RNA-seq or killing assays and all of this, so that you do gain a greater understanding in the future. But you could never be able to do that if those samples were never there. So making sure that you sort of, again, it's a lot about looking to the future. Even without a crystal ball, you still have to make it as broad of a prediction as possible.
Yeah, I would echo what you said there, Ray, that, think about your sample plan and your sample reserves thoughtfully. I know it's a big burden to save a lot of samples, especially cell therapy samples, because they have pretty high requirements for keeping them well. However, we've often gone back as our technologies evolved, or we want to answer particular questions as it relates to what we're seeing in vivo. And these retains have been invaluable. But so I would say think carefully about your retention policies and the types of samples you keep related to your process.
Thank you. And I want to address another question that Rahul has submitted, which is a thoughtful one. What would you choose as a process automated process like Prodigy, which is less scalable, versus a semi-automated process where different unit operations are using different equipment, improving scalability by manufacturing multiple products at a time? Can the scalability of semi-automated processes help reduce the cost of manufacturing?
I can take that one from a allogeneic space. I personally, this is my opinion, think we should maintain the flexibility, especially around, and here yield will be a consideration as we move into commercialization. So having the ability to, as Rahul kindly pointed out, in the allogeneic space will be important. And there aren't often all the solutions. We're working with our vendors, for solutions across the paradigm, from isolations to electroporation, et cetera. There are bottlenecks across that whole arc. And so there isn't a one size that fits all for allogeneic, in my opinion. And so I think equipment flexibility and thinking about the future for commercialization, how could you scale up versus scale out some of these equipment? You may not need it in the moment because these are very expensive lots to produce at scale. So your FIH, even your phase 2, may be at a medium scale versus a commercializable scale.
I mean, I can echo that a lot. I think even from the autologous perspective, at least my philosophy is to maintain flexibility, not just for future scalability, but as I was mentioning previously, is that with some of these one size fits all, what it's asking you to do is to fit your product into the process. Well, for a lot of autologous and all therapies really, is what you would like is for your process to fit your product. Again, if there are differences in necessary dose from product to product, indication to indication, or how something needs to be treated, it's quite difficult from an all-in-one box to be able to handle those kinds of potential variabilities. Well, you can do that when you have sort of a piecemeal automation approach with semi-automated, and of course there are potential future innovations in this space that will allow you to use robotics and things like that to stitch these semi-automated unit operations together to build a fully automated, relatively flexible process by using robotic arms and processes that you can change on the fly, rather than fitting your product into a process that by the time you go from phase 1 to commercial, most likely that process box is now quite obsolete compared to what's on the market. And it's very difficult to change the whole thing as opposed to change a unit operation.
Absolutely. And just to build on what you said there, Ray, when you think about a startup, pure startup, the evolving company, you're going to have a tendency to build a platform process, and there may be weaknesses to various elements of that process. As technologies evolve, as Ray mentioned, you may have great solutions for those. Sticking with a single process equipment won't allow you to easily implement that. So It gives you flexibility, future-proof flexibility there as well.